Let's get this show on the road. Wherever you are, get in your car and come on down, enjoy a show. If it's your first time, well, jump on in. By the end of this drive, you'll be a Shavian. No, let's get this show on the road.
Do you think you've ever laughed harder in a theater than when you saw One Man, Two Governors here a couple seasons ago?
I think when you have a chance to work on the show like I did with One Man, Two Governors, and every single time, you know that bit is coming. You know what's going to happen to Matt Alfano when he approaches those stairs. You know it. I know it. I've seen it 100 times.
It's still so good.
It's still so good. Yeah, I think that whole process was certainly one of the highlights of my time here at the Shaw Festival. And it was a real coordination. And I will say, being able to reunite with this team just a little bit, I couldn't come on fully for this production because it was starting rehearsals before I arrived for my season. But I did get to dip my toe a little bit into it. And it was so much fun to be back in the room with Chris and his vision, his ability to get the timing and the all of the nuance inside this production, and to see Martin and Peter coming back together in their just brilliant way of creating such controlled chaos on the stage. I mean, that it's such it's an art form to be able to have that feeling like everything's out of control and yet everything is meticulously timed. It's really something. And we had so much fun putting together. I had an opportunity to come in and just set a fun little tango. There's a little tango moment. and what's so fun about this piece of choreography is it really has to have so much story in it. We really have to set up the characters. So it's not like a traditional piece of choreography like you might see in the musical. It's got the steps and it's got, some of that essence, but in reality, it has to keep driving this energy forward. So it was a lot of fun to come in and to work with Jeff Scoville, a fight director, and to partner in this fight dance movement world. It's just such a thrill. Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah.
So we talked to Peter Fernandes and Martin Happer, and we will get to their conversation in just a few moments. But before then, we are going to pull back the curtain and talk with one of our ASMs, Becca Jorgensen.
Becca is one of the many people who make up the stage management teams who work both on and off the stage and who you don't see directly, but who are working equally hard backstage to make sure everything runs smoothly. And just before we head over to talk to Becca, what's it been like for you on this One for the Pot journey? Because you're in the show, and I'm just curious, what has that been like for you in the rehearsal process?
Oh, it's been great. This is my first time working with Chris Abraham, and everything I've seen of his, I have just thought is fantastic. And when I learned that I would be able to do this show with him, I was equally excited, but maybe a little intimidated because of the quality of his work. Chris is the type of director who is meticulous in the best possible way. He's not going to settle for anything less than what his vision is, and he invites us all to collaborate in that. But he's very rigorous. He's very particular in what he's asking for, but in a way that doesn't feel threatening to me as an actor. And on top of that, I gotta play a smarmy dude.
You do, my friend. And you play it so well.
Oh, it's so fun to play
great.
The Lothario.
I love it.
So I'm having a great time. And
I'm so glad. It's been awesome to watch you up there, I have to say. It's great.
Thanks.
All right, shall we hear from Becca and find out what it's like to be in her world backstage?
Let's do it.
My name is Becca Jorgensen, and I'm an assistant stage manager at the Shaw Festival.
Becca, what is an assistant stage manager? I know that's a huge question. We will unpack this a little bit more, but is there like a nutshell? Like, what is your job as an assistant stage manager?
I was trying to like equate it to non-theater things this morning. Like, what is kind of an assistant stage manager or like an ASM in not theater space? And I kind of settled on like the cross between a flight attendant, a mom, and a charge nurse. An amalgamation of all those things feels so right. So basically, like my job is to be the communication hub of a production. We're with the production a week before we start rehearsals, and we prepare everything for the show. And in terms of communicating with all departments, all of the designers, the director, and then once the actors come in, we start rehearsal. It's our job to communicate to all of those departments: wardrobe, technical director, stage, lighting, sound, costumes, props, everything, the discoveries that we're making in the rehearsal process. And then also in terms of like rehearsal hall setup, I need to make sure everybody has what they need for what we're doing. So that's maybe a rehearsal skirt, or if somebody is coming in and needs a prop, like they have that on them, or it's preset where it needs to be. And then also being on book, which is following along in the lines of the script. When an actor is learning their lines and they don't quite remember what comes next, being ready to catch them in that moment and be able to feed them a line so that they're able to continue on the path of their own discovery in the rehearsal hall.
That's amazing. That is amazing. It is the work of saints, honestly. And that, I think, especially like the coordinating that all of you do. And like you say, really become a connector between the technical side so that the stage manager can really focus on all of their role, which is like getting through all of the specifics of everything that has to be ready and in place. You're actually the ones putting those things in place and getting them into the actors' hands. And like you say, helping them with these lines. It is the work of saints. Yep.
It's like being the connective tissue almost of a production. And, assistant doesn't really encompass what it is. Like, I'm not the stage manager's assistant. I'm like the assistant of the production, or like in Europe, they call it a backstage or an onstage manager or a deputy stage manager. So we're really coordinating all of those little detail-y things. So like an actor comes off at this time and they're taking off all of these specific items in their costume and they're putting on these specific items, and this is when they need to enter, and this is where they're entering from. So we really get into the details of all of those little bits, and then we're able to disseminate that information to all of the wonderful artisans that we work with backstage in our IATSE crews.
So how do you train for this? Where did you get your start? How did you become interested, and how did you learn how to do this?
I went to a high school which had quite a big theater program.
And where was that?
And so I'm from Victoria, and so I went to Claremont Secondary School, and so that high school has a beautiful theater. And I was sitting in drama class one day and I was like, well, maybe I want to try stage managing. Like, I didn't quite know what it was about. And then of course, like, one kid says that and the drama teacher's like, okay, let's go.
Great. You're
let's
in.
Go. And then that's kind of been it. Like, the next day I was stage managing our high school production of Our Town. And then my sister was moving to Montreal and we made a pit stop in Niagara-on-the-Lake to see family. And so we came and saw a show at the Shaw Festival, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that. And then I went to post-secondary education at the University of Victoria. So there's a theater department there, and they have a specialization in theater production management. So I took theater production management, stage management, and then it's kind of, here we are, tumbled into professional theater.
So when did you get scooped up by the Shaw Festival? When did it actually, so you've come to see this production and then you're like, oh, this is a really great place. I want to come to work here. What was that first moment when you got an ask or an offer, and how did that happen?
I feel like I've been pursuing the Shaw Festival since I was 16, it feels like.
That's awesome.
Like I've been in the long game. So after coming to see Serious Money and seeing, like, I vividly remember a stage manager, and it turned out to be Melania, who used to be a stage manager here. She was an apprentice and she charged glow tape on a chair that the lights went out and it started spinning and an actor appeared in it. And I still remember that, and I thought, I want to do that.
And how many seasons have you done here now?
First season is 2023 with The Apple Cart with Kelly Wong and The Shadow of a Doubt. So it's been really nice to be here.
So, can I just make a connection here for our
Yes.
listeners from season 1? When we talked to Julia Korse and Mike Nanajewski, we also heard that the one and only Kelly Wong was in Serious Money.
I was.
Yes. And my first day of The Apple Cart, you're getting to know like dozens of people at a time. And it was like, oh, like, have you seen any shows here? And I said, well, when I was a teenager, I saw Serious Money. And it was like, oh, Kelly Wong was in that. And Graham Somerville was in that. And Alan Teichman was the stage manager. And Melania, who I was taking over for at the time, she was the apprentice. So it was like all of these serendipitous layers
Full
of like,
circle moments
there it
here at the
is.
Shaw Festival. That is so great.
Mhm.
Okay, so my last question for you, Becca, is you are working on one. I know that you're working on One for the Pot this year, and I know you have other shows as well. What are your other shows?
So I'm an assistant stage manager for One for the Pot and the assistant stage manager for Sleuth at the Courthouse. So two very different shows in terms of
And different spaces.
different spaces, different size of cast, different needs. And it's been nice to have the contrast between the two.
So is there a little moment, or is there something that was maybe particularly challenging that you had to address and overcome, or you're working through in either of those shows?
I think the beauty of theater and like the beauty of rehearsal and the beauty of my job is that it's a one big puzzle that I get to figure out with dozens and dozens of artists. And so while like size and scope is always challenging, like each production will have its own individual needs, I think like the beauty of my position is to be able to sort through and come together and create a wonderful picture for audiences to come in and be that final piece of the puzzle. And so like, there's always challenging bits of like, oh, we need this by this certain time to be able to like move forward, or like this prop isn't working how we need it to work, especially with One for the Pot. Everything's so specific there. Or with Sleuth, like, everything is so meticulously set that, there are little Easter eggs here, or if something isn't set properly, it has the potential to break a play. Like we get stuck. And so part of my job is to be able to sort through all of those details and make sure that we are all set up for the best success and like the best puzzle.
That's amazing. So for our listeners who are coming down to see these productions, your work is such a huge part of the glue backstage that makes the flow really happen on stage.
Totally.
And without you, we would just walk out without that prop, and it would be a disaster.
Kelly Wong would walk on without his pants on.
I need my own assistant stage manager for my life, I think, some
Me
days.
too.
I'm just like, where am I and what am I doing and where do I go next? Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Especially
and that
in the
was
thick of the...
Last night with Peter too, he would come off and just have the look on his face being like, where do I go next? And I'd point. I'd say, Billy, that way. Or Rupert, that way.
Wow. That's incredible. then you're it's beyond flight attendant. You're actually the air traffic controller at this point.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Totally.
Okay, so we're gonna it's going one step from flight attendant. We're gonna go up to air traffic controller.
You know, the whole
Charge
airspace.
nurse. yeah, absolutely.
Pilot sometimes.
Oh yes, yeah. There have definitely been moments in shows where an assistant stage manager has definitely come into a mom role for me as I come sort of
Yeah,
sobbing off the stage, going, "It'll be okay."
Here's your tumbler of water.
Yep.
Do you need a snack?
I love it. This has been an awesome conversation, Becca. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us again, pulling back the curtain and letting us in on the amazing amount of work that our whole crew team are really doing behind the stages as we perform these plays.
Thank you. It's so nice to be able to talk about my job. It's so nice.
Which you love so much, which is so great.
I love it.
Hi, it's Neil Barclay with this week's trivia question. Farce goes back to the earliest years of the festival, and one of the most memorable productions was in the mid-'80s, when One for the Pot first appeared on our stage. Can you name the Canadian farce legend who played Hickory Wood in that production? Stick around for the answer.
Today, we are going to hear from Peter Fernandes and Martin Happer. But I have to say, I am such a fan of Peter Fernandes. He is here this season as both director and actor. So he is the director for Sleuth and also one of the stars of One for the Pot. Peter is in his 5th season. He was also here as an intern director a few years ago. You will have seen him in One Man, Two Governors, The Importance of Being Earnest, and elsewhere. You would have seen him most recently at Canadian Stage in Fat Ham, and he has done many productions across this country. And I do have the delightful honor of now being a adjunct professor with Peter at the new University of Toronto Mississauga Theatre Program.
Well, that's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
it's very
great.
exciting.
Nice.
We're going to take over the world.
Good. It's about time. We're also talking with Martin Happer, pardon me. I call him Marty. People call him Martin. Marty is in his 20th season here at the Shaw Festival. You've seen him in Wait Until Dark, One Man, Two Governors, Devil's Disciple, Peter and the Starcatcher, and many, many theaters across Canada, including the Arts Club, Citadel, Studio 180, and recently at Theatre Aquarius in Murder on the Orient Express. Let's hear what they both have to say about their experience on One for the Pot.
And so there was a production of Wizard of Oz when I was in grade 6 where I played the Cowardly Lion. I was one of 2 Cowardly Lions. And that we switched.
I see. Not like there was a duet of Cowardly Lions speaking in unison. No. Okay, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. And I fainted in front of an audience as part of the show. And they laughed. And I went, oh, yeah, that feels good. That feels nice. How about I just keep making people laugh as my job? And I think that's kind of when I got bit by it. But let me tell you, we had to audition for that production, and I was going in for the Tin Man. I really wanted to be the Tin Man, but I was so nervous at the audition that I stuttered so much. Like, I remember viscerally, like, super sweaty. And so they're like, Cowardly Lion, for sure. I would say that's when it started.
That's when it started.
Yeah, both the nerves and the performing.
Right.
All in one.
All in one. And where was this? Where were you?
I was in Edmonton at Louis Saint Laurent.
Nice.
Wait, no, that was my high school.
Oh.
Where was I before that? It's a long time ago now.
A long time ago, but this is elementary
the memories
school.
are fading.
Yes. Oh, as we get older. Oh, heavens. All right, Martin Happer, when did the theater bug bite you?
I was in grade 7 when we had our first drama class in school. And I can remember telling a joke and the class laughing. and there was a little tickle there. And then there was a recess session when we were all in the classroom because it was raining outside. We weren't allowed to go out. And me and my new friend, guy by the name of Josh Lindstrom, with whom I'm still very close friends, he was very encouraging, and we just act, like goofs in the class. And I picked up a guitar, had no idea how to play it. To this day, really don't know how to play the guitar that well, and just improvised a song, and somehow had captivated the attention of the class, and it was just so thrilling. So I was finding that attention for the first time, being a shy kid. Mm-hmm. And then we had, as part of our French class, we had a presentation at an assembly. We were going to do a Christmas story. And I got the part of Santa Claus. We did the short play in French. And I happened to wear, I don't know what possessed me, to wear as my costume, I turned the whitest T-shirt I could find in my drawer inside out and put a big sort of belly in there for Santa Claus. The T-shirt was one that I got when playing lacrosse. The T-shirt said, "See Dick throw, see Dick catch, see Dick bat," on the front. On the back, it said, "Don't be a dick, play lacrosse." And this was, of course, a shot at baseball because they were both summer sports. So I'm wearing this T-shirt. It's a white T-shirt with the black lettering. You can clearly see all of the words. And I'm up there speaking French as Papa Noel. And anyway, so I thought I was doing a hilarious performance, but I could see that the parents were in stitches. Anyway, that gave me such a great feeling like I had really hit on something here. It felt really good to be up there making people laugh.
We both just wanted to make people laugh and get that attention.
And look at the two of you
That's
now,
totally
inseparable.
I have a question, Peter. Have you been in a production of Wizard of Oz where you've played any of those fellas?
I have not.
No way.
That was it. That was my one shot at the part, and I haven't been able to play it since. Nobody has put me in it. Please, somebody.
There we go. The call out. Listen, you can do that here on this podcast. There's someone out there that's listening that's going to say,
I would like to play any part in The Wizard of Oz or The Wiz.
Ooh, very nice. Very good.
I've always wanted to do The Wizard of Oz. I was always a fan of the Scarecrow, but I would be happy to play any part. Maybe the Cowardly Lion. Anyway, Peter, you and I, let's make this happen somewhere.
Shaw 2028.
This is it. We've got a pitch now. I think we know someone we can talk to. Excellent. And of course, with the support from fans, right? Fans can often get productions to happen, right? This is how we see TV shows turning into movies. So, listeners out there, if you want to see this production, you can write in to the...
Write TC at the Shaw Festival.
So speaking of the Shaw Festival, Martin, you've been here for a time here. Can you tell us about how long you've been here, but also how did you find the Shaw Festival as inside the pathway of what your career has been?
This is my 21st season, and I auditioned for the festival in the same year that I graduated from the University of Alberta in Edmonton, from the BFA program.
Wait a minute. Were you both in Edmonton? Were you both in Edmonton at the same time?
No.
We must have been in the same time. We didn't meet.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we didn't meet. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you've been oscillating. The two of you, your universes have been oscillating for a little while.
The planets have just been
we're U of A grads.
orbiting.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you finished U of A and you auditioned.
Correct. So I finished in the spring of 2003. I auditioned in November when I was working in Edmonton at the Citadel doing stage door and security. And I happened to be working security on production of Amadeus. that was
That we're doing this season.
that we're doing this
Wow.
season, correct. And it was filled with a bunch of Edmonton actors that I was familiar with. And part of my job, if you've ever been to the Citadel, there's an elevator near the front doors that takes you upstairs. And if you do that, you can walk right into the backstage area of the main theater there. So some of the times the public would find themselves there. So they had security, that was me, sitting there just to say, hey, you've come to the wrong place, please go back downstairs. But I was sitting there backstage, essentially reading a book and just watching the actors prepare and do everything. And to get back to my audition, an actor there suggested, when I said, I've got this audition for Shaw, what should I do? I've only got this undershaft piece. I was far too young to audition for that, I thought. And he suggested Cain from Back to Methuselah. And that was my audition piece. I did that in November when Jackie came through doing generals, and I had another piece ready to go. Fortunately, she just heard the Cain piece and we had a lovely discussion, and it just felt really positive. One of those rare occasions where you feel in the room like, this is incredible. I feel like maybe is this going to happen? And I got the offer a few days later. They were obviously looking for something specific in our wilderness, the young college bad influence on the main character there. And then my other show was Man and Superman that year, the first year,
Oh, wow.
2004.
Oh, wow. This is your 21st season. There must be a lot of shifts you've seen in the years and your time here at the Shaw Festival that you've witnessed as well.
Obviously, the leadership, when I came, Jackie Maxwell was the artistic director. It was her second year when I came on board. And now Tim Carroll. So I've seen two artistic directors. So just in terms of the leadership and how they conduct themselves and lead the company, they take two separate approaches. So you get that. But there's just internally, there's a growth of the company, and there's the dynamic of the company has changed, and it's fluid. So it grows, it shrinks in terms of the amount of actors, and in terms of how the schedule works, in terms of the shows, how they're when they start rehearsing, when they start performing, that has all changed and developed and progressed in different ways over the years. And that all changes the dynamics of how the company sees one another through the halls. The halls themselves have changed. In my first year, it was the very first year they opened the annex part of the building.
Oh, right.
So I was very lucky in that Wilderness was rehearsed, was the first show to rehearse in Rehearsal Hall 2, as far as I can remember.
So you've actually seen the construction change, and now here we are entering into a whole new construction phase as well with the campaign. It's amazing. And Peter, what about you? How did the Shaw Festival find you?
I'm still a baby. I'm only in my 5th season. I don't even get like a pen or anything yet. I just get to say it's my 5th season.
No.
I've only had one artistic director. It's Tim Carroll. So I only know one. How did Shaw find me?
How did it cross your path? When did it cross your path?
I became extremely annoying. That's how Shaw found me. I came to Toronto in 2013, and like I was part of the Soul Pepper Academy. And as I was learning about Toronto and the theater scene in Ontario, the festivals get brought up, but I was talking to a lot of people who really, really loved working at the Shaw Festival. And at that point, I hadn't seen anything. So I just been going.
Oh, right.
I had just been hearing from performers that they really loved working here. So when TC came in, I just started emailing him to death. We did not stop. Anytime there was something that I was doing in Toronto, like small or big, anything. I said, hey, I've always wanted to work there. It seems like you're doing cool things. Even though it's your first season, I would love the opportunity to be considered. And I would invite him out to things. And eventually he would come out, whether or not that was from my invitation or not. So then by the time the generals came around, there was a little bit of a relationship, and that relationship being, oh, you're the guy who keeps sending emails. So I had my first round of auditions, which was a little snapshot of how Tim Carroll Works, kind of the group setting of the audition, and then a more standard audition with a song. And then after that audition, I did not get into that season.
And the answer is no.
I really thought it was great. He was like, oh, you played the dog in Father Comes Home from the Wars. I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, great. Having an audition, having a great time, singing. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Great. Did not get that season. But then, out of nowhere for the next season, no audition. And then I got a season. What? So,
So you just sort of went, that's it. There's nothing for me.
No, I kept emailing. I said, hey, here's my next show. I guess it didn't work out this season. Come out to the next show that I'm doing. And that just goes to show the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's it. And now you're here, and we are all the better and all the luckier to have you with us.
Still here, still annoying, still sending emails. You
still email TC to say.
I think it was even at the opening of Sleuth. I went, hey, maybe I could direct this thing next.
This is good. Persistence is key.
Always be pitching.
That's it. Never stop. And so maybe actually we'll, just before we jump on to talking about One for the Pot, which you're both in, because Peter, you did do the intern directing program here, and you have just debuted your first show here as a director with Sleuth opening this weekend. So what drove you to do it?
Well, I think the seed was always there in terms of my relationship to theater. I love it. I love theater. I love performing. And I think I've been fortunate enough to be in these rooms where they've been highly collaborative. And so you start thinking about the plays outside of just your part in them. And that sparked a little something that I wanted to, explore a little bit more, maybe scratch at and see if that was motivating. And over the course of my time at Shaw, there were these opportunities to, in small ways, scratch that itch. And so, whether that's in the small minor ways of going, we're going to put up a cabaret, or we're going to do these ancillary programming initiatives. Even over the course of the pandemic, there are these opportunities where you can explore another part of your relationship to theater. I was going into those opportunities thinking, I wonder if there's something here that lights that flame or feeds that spark that I've been feeling. And then for Damn Yankees, there was the opportunity to become Magic Captain, which, because of the illusions designer on that show, Skylar Fox, allowed me way more access to the creative side of theater, the design and directing world there. That really fed the fire and really piqued my curiosity. And so the more I pursued that, the more opportunities I was actively seeking out. And so when coming back for One Man, Two Governors, I only knew that part of my season. And so I asked if it would be possible to build on kind of this relationship that started at Shaw, to build on that and pursue the internship at the same time, so that I could see. It's always fact-finding with me. I'm finding more often. It's not, I'm set in this one direction and I know for sure. I just really want to fact find and see if that curiosity, that spark is still being fed. And it has been. It has been. I'm feeling right now very similar to how I felt when I first started performing. That same kind of nervous energy, but that same motivating energy in my pursuit of these other relationships to theater. So
wow.
Yeah, so, it kind of started here at Shaw, and now
you're going to take over the Shaw.
Not yet. Not yet. Who do I have to email?
But I just want to clarify that when we saw you in One Man, Two Governors 2 seasons ago. You were also an intern director at that time. And then this year, coming back for One for the Pot, you are also directing in this season.
Yes. My
So you
directing debut.
Just juggle those hats and run from room to room.
Yeah, luckily the schedule worked out for the most part this season, where I was all in on Sleuth for the first part of my season.
Right.
And then around.
Rehearsals for One for the Pot began. That's very good.
Yeah,
That was nice
so
of them to do that for you.
It was kind.
Thank you, Jeff
kind
Cummings.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk about One for the Pot, Martin. It's an interesting thing because we did see you both together in One Man, Two Governors, and there is such a following. There are people listening to this podcast right now that are so thrilled that the two of you are coming back together as this wild duo, that we're getting to really know you as players in these wild farces and these great romps and adventures. And Martin, I'm just wondering because, the One Man, Two Governors was well known. It did the West End and it was on Broadway. And so we had a familiarity with the title, but some folks might not be as familiar with One for the Pot. And I'm just wondering, can you just tell us a little bit about the story, about the play and what story it's telling?
Sure, yeah, I will try. I'll attempt it. And
Peter can jump in for support if you need it.
Oh, no, I'll let you go.
Try to...
yeah, you could just take that away. Take it away.
This is that question that we all go, can I sum this up in 30 seconds? But without giving anything away. So, essentially, Patrick Galligan plays a character named, what's his first name, Peter? Jonathan. Thank you. Jonathan Hardcastle. So he wants to give away £10,000, because we're in England here. He wants to give £10,000 away to the son of a man that he used to work with. He was very fond of the son, and now he wants to give him this money. He doesn't know where he is, so he advertises in the paper for the son of this Samuel Hickory Wood. Enter Billy Hickory Wood, along with my character, Charlie Barnett, and we're here to collect whatever money we think that Billy's going to get from Mr. Hardcastle. And Billy is, you can correct me, Peter, he's a simple lad, and so he needs a little assistance, and that's where Charlie Barnett comes in to help him do this. They don't know at this point that he's getting £10,000, but he knows there's probably going to be some money at the end of the day, so he pretends to be Billy's solicitor to help him get this money. When they find out that it's more money than they expected, things start to increase in terms of their desire to get that money, and Charlie's as well, of course. And then some other people show up who are also claiming the money. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Peter.
Yeah, the money's only going to one member of the Hickory Wood family, but several show up, and they may or may not be played by the same person. Because they're twins!
This is so great. And what has that been like for both of you coming back to a farce? And what does it mean to do this type and style of play versus, say, a Shaw play or something else that might be in the classical canon?
I'll let Martin speak on Shaw because I haven't done a Shaw play and how it compares.
Also, note to the artistic director.
No,
you can do that on this podcast.
Wizard of Oz, Shaw. But, doing a farce, I can speak to doing a farce with a lot of the same folks who were in One Man, Two Governors. It's like we're building on the play that we found there, the ability to play with each other, to improvise, to feel confident and safe and supported in lobbing big ideas to each other, and that being received and batted back. I think it makes for a really dynamic, exciting, funny room. And so we're just building. We're just building on that, and it's just really exciting. It's really exciting, and I remember, our first day up on our feet for this, going, "Oh yeah, okay, we're back in the ring together. All right. Sometimes we're playing doubles. We're both hitting at an opponent, and sometimes we're on the other side of the court, batting balls to each other. And I think that's what a great chance to reconnect in the same form, which is a huge benefit for working at a company that's a rep company like Shaw.
Right. And what about you, Martin? Because you literally are going from this to Heartbreak House, and like the gear change between that. What's that like?
Yeah, it's a pretty big gear change. And part of it is like the world of the farce it's so physical. The physical life and the physical story you're telling is precise, and that is so much a part of it in terms of pushing the plot along, heightening the stakes.
And painful. Precise and painful.
I have a Band-Aid on my toe that I just put on this morning.
I can't bend this
because
thumb
of
right now.
the preview yesterday. My back is still recovering.
We're both wearing back braces
from last week. It is, yes. So we're coming from a world of pain, physical torture. No, it's not that bad, but it takes a lot physically. It takes a lot of stamina, and it's building that stamina that we're doing now. And then hopping into the rehearsal hall to do Heartbreak House, that's certainly at first glance very, very cerebral compared to One for the Pot. So the thoughts your characters are saying are much longer. You have to think in broader terms in terms of like, what am I trying to say? So the thoughts go deeper, a lot deeper. And
right, yes.
And it's about these human connections and the commentary on the current socio-political landscape of the time that Shaw wrote it. So it's obviously more of a thought-provoking piece without taking anything away from the thoughts one might enjoy from One for the Pot. But let's be honest, One for the Pot, we're really trying to get laughs and give the audience, we're here for a good time. We're here for a really good time.
Yeah.
And there's such value in that. And Heartbreak House has many laughs as well, I have to say. Shaw, surprisingly, I don't know why it does often surprise me, even though I've been working on it for years. You read a play and you go, wow, this is terrific. And then as soon as you hear it out loud with the actors, you realize how bloody funny it is. Shaw is so hilarious. But it's obviously funny in a different way than One for the Pot. One for the Pot is more of that physical, you've got slapstick, you've got situation comedy there. And Shaw is just a little bit more cerebral and the paradoxes and the hypocrisies of life that are true when he wrote it and are true now. Those are the things that we delight in as we listen to it and we get to perform it.
Okay, so I do want to ask you both a bit of a technical question inside of your performances, because one of the things that we have here at the Shaw Festival, which often, again, theaters may not necessarily be able to afford. We talk a lot about what we are able to do here at the festival with the support that we have to be producing theater at this level and at this magnitude to have things available to us. And one of those things is a dialect coach. And that there are multiple dialects. And so we have the incredible Jeffrey Simlett, who literally runs alongside these productions and really helps to shape the sound of these dialects when we are doing these period pieces. And something like One for the Pot, which is covering a huge amount of regions in England, which of course, like, you can walk 2 kilometers down the road and entirely different sound comes out from a different community, and those little subtle shifts. And I'm wondering, Peter, maybe we can just hear a little bit about the dialect shaping process. Like, how do you get into that place where it actually feels like it's natural and not something that you're kind of putting on or trying, like, what's
I thought
that
you were
like?
about to say, so let's hear a little bit of your dialect.
You know
right
what?
now.
That's my next question. So I'm going to hear about, yeah. You're going to take us through. So, because as everyone's coming down to the Shaw and they're going to listen, we're going to get them
We're going
to
to
practice.
save it. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to spoil anything for when they see it. You got to experience it in the theater. That's the power of theater. You got to experience in the moment. The journey to dialects. So Jeffrey, it's great. There are so many people at Shaw who are just experts and at their craft, and Jeffrey's one of those people. What's great about Jeffrey is that there's a lot of collaboration. There are specific sounds and there are specific regions that we're looking at, but there's variety in there. You get to talk about character, you get to talk about status, you talk about your relationship to the other people in the show. And so out of the options that he presents to you, you can collaborate together to go, oh, I'm liking this sound over here. I think that speaks to this person's class or my character's upbringing a little bit. But this delicious sound from this region would be useful. All in support of the storytelling, but and also in the support of the clarity of the storytelling, so that we don't get too distracted by the sounds, or we don't get too muffled by the sounds. So collaboration is huge with Jeffrey, which I really appreciate. And with something like One for the Pot, where you really want to differentiate, at least in my track, you want to differentiate not only where you're from, but the status of those folks. Jeffrey's work was invaluable. I also came in with a lot of insecurities around one of them specifically, because in theater school, this specific dialect, we had to do a presentation for our voice and dialect class, where we would pick a monologue and we would then cycle through dialects.
Oh,
and
wow.
So
Okay.
there was one dialect, which I have to do in this show for a large portion of the show, where that same dialect, when I was doing it at school, I started, it came out completely wrong. I started laughing, then everybody else started laughing because of how bad it was.
Oh, no.
And then at the end of that monologue, I went, but I'm never going to have to do this. And now, I graduated in 2011. So however many years later, it's been
15 years later.
that dialect has come back to haunt me. So, for my first session with Jeffrey, when I wanted to just run away from the festival, he was really there to support me and go, just focus in on these key sounds right now. Get used to that. I'll see you in a week, and you're going to feel better about those, and then we can move on to the next thing.
Wow.
And so we've been, because we're a repertory theater company, because we're a festival, you get time. You get
Right.
time.
Yes,
So
yes.
even when we hadn't started One for the Pot, I had booked a session with Jeffrey during Sleuth in my spare time.
So even before your rehearsals for One for the Pot, you
Yes.
started your dialect process with.
Just knowing that I had
Yeah.
to do a certain number of them. I won't say how many, a certain number of them. I wanted to get that groundwork in there because I think part of the question that you asked was, how does it get settled? It's time. You start with those bare bones. You start then roaming around your house, finding those sounds and feeling where they live in your own mouth and in the everyday kind of language. And the more opportunity you have to do that because of the time, the more natural it'll feel on stage. So, now the dialects up there aren't just by the book. They also, I should hope, feel like a lived in
Right.
dialect.
Wow.
Something that has people from a certain region all don't sound the same. We all don't sound the same here, right? So it's our own version of that dialect that feels like it's supported by the character choices we've been making.
Right. That makes sense. And what about you, Martin? What's been your experience with dialects? Because that's a pretty huge part of, again, performing Shaw specifically, is really kind of coming into owning that posh, upper class. It tends to be one of the ones we end up needing to use, or, the lower class. Like, again, it really signals so much in terms of your status and inside of the story. So what's that been like for you along the way?
I love the dialect work. That is one of my greatest joys of performing, is being able to put on somebody else's voice, or a voice that isn't mine, and to play that. And that helps me discover the character in a way that feels distant from myself. And there's a real joy I find in that. And I'm lucky enough in that I grew up with parents who they immigrated from London, England in 1970. So they have a whole community in Canada of British folk. So when I was growing up, so many of my parents' friends coming to the house were these voices, a lot of which, of course, we do the British dialects at Shaw quite a bit. So I was hearing a lot of these growing up. So I really enjoy getting my chance to perform them. But yeah, you've got the different, again, this year, Heartbreak House is more of it's an upper middle class sort of accent that we're going for, close to what we call received pronunciation, which is, I believe it's sort of known just as a generic English accent of an upper middle class type. And they used to do a version of this, back in the old days in, the American shows, you got that mid-Atlantic sound. So it's coming a little bit from that, though they're very different sounds as well. And then you've got the slightly lower class of Cockney, which I'm doing in One for the Pot with Charlie Barnett. I love going from one to the other, really enjoy it. And so I've had an opportunity to do so many different accents here. And Jeffrey Simlet is such a great help with all of that work. He has such a detailed, oriented ear, such a great ear for listening to the sound. So if you want to get really specific about things, he's so good at hearing them and singling them out for you to understand. And as well as all the things that Peter said, that collaboration, he's so wonderful in. So it's not like he's dictating to you, this is the sound and that's how it's got to go.
Right. So you're actually able to develop the character and the sound of the character with him at the same time.
100%.
That's great. Okay. So thinking about the rehearsal process, and now as you are moving to the stage, at the time of recording this, you have just had your first preview. You have just met the audience for the first time. And it's one of the things that I do highlight often, again, coming back to the luxury we have with this size of a producing company, that we are able to have previews. And most Canadian theaters are lucky if they get one or two before an opening night. And maybe they might get sort of like a weekend of show. But really, we have sort of tech dress and a preview and we open, And here, Sleuth had something like 30 previews before opening night. So many previews. You are also now starting the preview process. What was that like yesterday to take this show, which is so laugh, dependent, like there is really this exchange, this visceral exchange with the audience. What was it like to encounter your audience for the first time yesterday?
Awesome. It was great. I mean, it's really scary. It's really nerve-wracking, but you have to remind yourself that you're there to, the audience is another piece of the puzzle. You're fact-finding. You go out there and you've had your time with the work, but it's going to be new again. It's new again for everybody because we don't know what it's like to have an audience in there. We have our first read, which is the freshest it's ever going to be. Then we start rehearsing it, and our relationship to the piece, our relationship to the text, our relationship to where we think the laughs are going to be or where the audience is following and where they're not completely changes because the audience is its own beast. And so it's really exhilarating to be out there. And I think if you go in with the mindset, and I try to tell myself this before every preview, before every show, if you try to go in with curiosity, then maybe that takes some of the edge off of going, oh no, what if I turn out for this line that I think is funny and it doesn't hit?
Correct.
When really what you're doing is you're feeling that in the same way that Martin and I are playing on stage, you're playing a game with them. So you trying to find enjoyment in that, trying to find the these moments of going, oh okay, maybe the story isn't as clear here, but we've got previews to do that. We wouldn't have known, or we would have never known without this audience. And moments of going, okay, they're really invested in this part. How can I massage this? How can I push this forward or play with them, play a little game with them? So it was really great. I say that in hindsight, obviously. Before the show, I was a nervous wreck. pacing around. Poor Sapere, who shares a dressing room with me, I must be a nightmare. I'm there.
Wow.
Rolling
So you not only
muscle
directed
relaxants.
Sapere in Sleuth, but now he has to live with you in a dressing room.
Yeah, and
poor
I
Sapere.
ramble when I'm nervous. I'm realizing this now. I didn't share a dressing room in Governors, and now I share a dressing room with Sapere, who's incredible. But then I find myself just talking, is it to the mirror? Is it to Sapere? Is it to anybody? I go, I'm really nervous, I guess. So it's really nerve-wracking, but we've got a month of previews. We have a month of previews where we're going to get to learn. We can get the average of the response to kind of build on.
Right.
And you didn't even mention, the whiff of A535 and Tiger Balm that's coming off of our bodies at all times in those dressing rooms.
Yeah, it's like a spa in there, all the eucalyptus. Everything.
What about you, Martin? What did you encounter with that first audience yesterday?
Oh, yeah, it was great. Just to reiterate all the things that Peter said, nerve-wracking going in but you're just going, yep, this is just a fact-finding mission. This is for us to learn so many more things about the storytelling. The audience gives us so much energy. It's so great to finally be in front of a crowd. We discovered the rhythms, where you can ride on laughs or whether, no, we're not. Nope, we just got to push through, keep going through here because they're ahead of us. And maybe what we thought was hilarious in the rehearsal hall, not so funny necessarily in front of the audience. So we have to then go, okay, all right, well, is that something we lean into or lean back from? I would say compared to One Man, Two Governors, our relationship with the audience is slightly different. We were very much inside the audience and, literally talking to them in One Man, Two Govs in a way that we're not in One for the Pot, but we're still relating to them. And to be able to finally have that relation with them is great. It really is powerful. And to start to learn how we can best tell the story with them is the joy we're having now through all these previews.
It's kind of wonderful just to think about the two of you encountering that audience with all of this craft and skill that you have now. And I'm just picturing you both in your elementary schools and, junior high schools, but feeling something in the air. There was something obviously that started that for you. There was that curiosity, but now to think of what you have in how you have this depth of knowledge and these skills inside this craft now of what those adjustments could be and how you begin to dial up, dial down, move forward, move back from landing some of those things. It's such a beautiful thing to think about that energy that you felt way back then and now being in a place of learning to master it and really getting to peel back the layers of what makes that happen and how do these things work, and with an audience of adoring fans.
We're also reunited with Chris Abraham, who directed One Man, Two Governors and is directing One for the Pot, and he's a real expert at comedy, and I think applies the same rigor. A show that's not a comedy, a show that's a drama, applies that same rigor to comedy and make sure that the core of the story, the characters that you see on stage, he makes sure that we care about them, while still being rigorous about the timing and the math of the farce. That's not to take away anything from how live a comedy can feel, how improv plays a key part into comedy, but he's really aware of the timing and the math, and that's important to be able to ride that wave. And I think that guidance, that we're building on that relationship that we have with Chris in this, so that there's a shorthand in the way that we can talk about what our characters want while still being able to pursue laughs, still being able to pursue the comedy. I think that rigor does not take away from comedy, and if we take comedy as seriously as we take anything else, it has a palpable effect on an audience, and that opens an audience up in a really interesting way. And so as we're tweaking internally, I know he's got a really keen eye on how to continue to feed the audience what they want at the right moments and to really identify the points where we need to, up the ante for them. And whether that's physically or whether that's about recharging our relationships to each other on stage. I think he's got a great eye for that. And anybody who loved that eye in Governors is going to really appreciate it in One for the Pot.
Amazing. Okay, final question as we round the bend into the finish. If you look at this production and your time with One for the Pot, as someone comes in to watch the show, they may be coming to, a preview, or they've booked their tickets sometime maybe in August or September, but they're coming to see the show. Is there, and I know the show is full of them, so take your time to find one. Is there an Easter egg or a favorite moment or a little something that if they were coming to see the show that they can just keep an eye out for as a little bit of insider information?
One thing I always notice in every season I do here are the echoes that you see from one show to another show in the same season, often the ones that you are doing.
Okay.
People, patrons are often wondering whether you get, shows confused with one another and that sort of thing. And that's never really the case, although there are these echoes that happen. And last year specifically, there were character names that were the same in both my shows. That was kind of fun. But I noticed, I was at the opening of Funny Girl. There's a moment with, I will say, a performance like a dog. And there is an echo, perhaps, of that, unrelated and not necessarily inspired, at least to my knowledge, in One for the Pot. So keep your eye out for an echo of a dog.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Peter?
Yes.
That makes sense to me. Interesting that you say echoes between shows in this season. I would say there are several Easter eggs from maybe a season very long ago. Maybe there are certain pieces in this show that are the same pieces from the run of One for the Pot that happened in the 80s?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So
those are Easter eggs. Neil had seen the original production, the original production at Shaw. So I'm sure there are audience members who have seen the original
there will be.
And you might recognize some pieces on the set. Yeah.
On the set that are from the actual production we did back in the 80s. Yeah. Wow.
The set looks very different, but we share some pieces.
That's very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you both for taking the time today to talk to Kelly and I about this journey with One for the Pot. It's so wonderful to see you both back and working with Chris. Like you say, there's so many of the original team from One Man, Two Governors, which was such a well-loved production. And I think for those of you out there who may not know, there's a nice similarity between One Man, Two Governors and One for the Pot in terms of the energy and the aesthetic and the wild, wild romp within this play that I think if you loved One Man, Two Governors, you are absolutely going to love One for the Pot. So thank you both for coming on and talking to us about your process, what it's been like, and we are very excited to come see you on the stage for sure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, Alexis and Kelly. Thank you for having us.
And now, the answer to our trivia question. We asked if you could name the actor who scored a big hit in 1985 when he played Hickory Wood in Shaw's first production of One for the Pot. And that actor was Heath Lamberts.
One for the Pot is playing until October 11th. Tickets available at shawfest.com.
Thank you to Peter Fernandes and Martin Happer for joining us, and thank you, as always, for listening. If you have questions, thoughts, or just want to say hello, drop us a line at podcast@shawfest.com.
Let's Get This Shaw on the Road is hosted by Alexis Milligan and produced by me, Kelly Wong. Original music by Travis Cito. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, subscribe and leave us a review.
Next week, we are pulling back the curtain and talking about our brand new Shaw Artist Village. We will be featuring Jim Burton, who has been a major inspiration for the new Burton Center for Lifelong Creativity. We'll be talking to our education team about the wonderful workshops they are developing. We'll be hearing from some people who are staying in the new residences there, and a couple of members of our wardrobe team who have happily moved into a nice, big, new space.
Let's get this Shaw on the road.